Geography section had a good number of questions this year. Nearly 18 questions were asked from this section alone. Physical geography and map marking dominated to some extent. In sum, we can say that this section was also easy to moderate and was doable, although some of the questions were slightly on the difficult side. So let's take a look at the questions that were asked under this section. The first question says, Statement 1, Sumedh pipeline is a strategic route for Persian Gulf oil and natural gas shipments to Europe. Statement 2, Sumedh pipeline connects the Red Sea with the Mediterranean Sea. Now the options are both statement 1 and 2 are correct and statement 2 explains statement 1. Both statement 1 and 2 are correct, but statement 2 does not explain statement 1. Statement 1 is correct, but statement 2 is incorrect. Statement 1 is incorrect, but statement 2 is correct. Now friends, Sumedh pipeline is actually an alternative to the Suez Canal route, and therefore it's a strategic route for Persian Gulf oil and natural gas shipments to Europe. That makes statement 1 correct. Statement 2 says that this pipeline connects the Red Sea with the Mediterranean Sea. If we take a look at the map, that is also true. However, these two statements are true independently, and statement 2 does not explain statement 1. Therefore, the right answer for this question is option B. Both statements are correct, but statement 2 is not explaining statement 1. Let's take a look at the map. You can see that the Sumedh pipeline is an alternative to the Suez Canal route, and it connects Red Sea to the Mediterranean Sea. Let's move to the next question. Consider the following statements. The Red Sea receives very little precipitation in any form. No water enters the Red Sea from rivers. Which of the statements given above are correct? 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, neither 1 nor 2. Again, a very map-based question to some extent, and you have to have a good understanding of climate of West Asia, East Africa to answer this question. The first statement says Red Sea receives very little precipitation in any form. It's a correct statement. The Red Sea is not one area which receives good rainfall or heavy rainfall. And statement 2 says no water enters the Red Sea from rivers. Yes, there are no major rivers draining into the Red Sea. Red Sea mostly receives water from the sea. That's why you see in this question, both the statements are correct. So the right answer for this one will be C. Statement 1 is correct. The Red Sea region is characterized by arid and semi-arid climate with extremely low precipitation levels. The areas surrounding the Red Sea, including Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Sudan, generally receives minimal rainfall throughout the year. Statement 2 is correct. The Red Sea is mostly isolated from major river systems. The amount of fresh water entering the Red Sea from rivers is negligible compared to other seas. The Red Sea primary source of water is through sea water inflow. Therefore, the correct answer for this question is C. Both the statements are correct. Let's move to the next one. The longest border between any two countries in the world is option A, Canada and the United States of America. B, Chile and Argentina. C, China and India. D, Kazakhstan and Russian Federation. Well, again, this was more of a fact kind of question. The right answer for this question is option A, Canada and United States of America. This border is more or less an open border between both the countries and is known for its peaceful existence. Okay. The length of this border is 8,891 kilometers, which roughly translates to 5,525 miles. So the right answer for this question was option A, Canada and USA. Let's move to the next one. The total fertility rate in an economy is defined as. This was a question which stems from human geography, and total fertility rate or TFR refers to the average number of live births a woman would have by the end of her childbearing age. In other words, TFR refers to the total number of children that a woman would have during her reproductive age. So for this question, if we look at the options, option A says the number of children per 1,000 people in the population in a year. That's not correct. The number of children born to a couple in their lifetime in a given population, whereas TFR refers only to the female. Therefore, the second statement or the second option is also not correct. See, the birth rate minus death rate, that is actually growth of population, so that's also not correct. And the last one is the average number of live births a woman would have by the end of her childbearing age. It means during her reproductive age, how many live births or how many children a woman would bear. That is TFR, or total fertility rate. It is always a point of concern for policymakers and a point of interest for demographers. So for this question, the answer was option number D. Let's move to the next one. Consider the following description. Annual and daily range of temperature is low. Second, precipitation occurs throughout the year. Third, precipitation varies between 50 centimeter to 250 centimeter. What is this type of climate? Options were equatorial climate, China type of climate, humid subtropical climate, and marine west coast climate. Now, some aspirants might have got confused in this question and they might have picked option A, which is equatorial climate. Annual and daily range of temperature is low. Precipitation occurs throughout the year. Both these statements more or less relate to equatorial climate, but when you look at the precipitation range that is given, then the answer does not relate to equatorial climate, but it gives a more indication towards marine west coast type of climate. So the answer for this one was option D, marine west coast climate. The temperature of marine west coast ecosystem is very mild and does not fluctuate greatly. There are only two seasons, summer and winter. So the annual or the daily range of temperatures is low in the marine west coast type of climate. The region is so humid because it can receive 50 to 250 centimeter of rain in a year. And this region is known for its wet, humid air. So that's why for this question, the right option was option number D, marine west coast climate. Let's move to the next one. With reference to Coriolis force, which of the following statements are correct? Coriolis force is actually a force generated due to the rotation of the earth on its axis. As the earth spins on its axis from west to east, anything that moves in the northern hemisphere turns towards its right, and anything that moves in the southern hemisphere turns towards its left. This shifting towards the right in north and left in south is the Coriolis effect. Okay, this Coriolis effect impacts every moving thing, be it winds, ocean currents, or any other thing that is moving in the northern hemisphere or in the southern hemisphere. A point that has to be noted here is at the equator, Coriolis is 0, whereas at the poles, Coriolis is maximum. Further, faster the movement, greater is the deflection. Like if a wind moves at a faster pace, it will deflect more to its right if it is moving in northern hemisphere, and to its left if it is moving in the southern hemisphere. Now let's take a look at the options. With reference to the Coriolis force, which of the following statements are correct? It increases with increase in wind velocity. Yes, that's correct. Second, it is maximum at the poles and it is absent at the equator. That's also correct. In fact, Coriolis force is required for the formation of tropical cyclones. And because Coriolis is 0 at the equator, there are no tropical cyclones at the equator. The options that were given was 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, neither 1 nor 2. The right answer was C. Both statements were correct. Let's move to the next one. On June 21 every year, which of the following latitudes experiences a sunlight of more than 12 hours? First, equator. Second, Tropic of Cancer. Third, Tropic of Capricorn. Fourth, Arctic Circle. Select the correct answer using the code given below. 1 only, 2 only, 3 and 4, 2 and 4. Well, 21st of June is that date when the sun rays are directly incident over the Tropic of Cancer. This is known as the summer solstice. All the latitudes north of the equator have a greater portion of them lying in the sunlit hemisphere and lesser portion of them lying in the dark hemisphere. In simple words, on this date, every place north of the equator has longer days and shorter nights. And longer days and shorter nights can happen only when days are more than 12 hours and nights are less than that. Okay, so on this date, if you see what are the latitudes which are north of the equator, you will find there are only two, Tropic of Cancer and Arctic Circle, because Tropic of Capricorn is south of equator, and obviously we have to look at the latitudes from the reference of equator. This is summer solstice. On summer solstice, all the latitudes north of equator have longer days, shorter nights. It means the sunlight is more than 12 hours at all these latitudes. The answer for this one becomes D, 2 and 4. So that is what we get it here. Let's move to the next one. One of the following regions has world's largest tropical peatland, which holds about 3 years worth of global carbon emissions from fossil fuels, and the possible destruction of which can exert detrimental effect on the global climate. Which one of the following denotes that region? The options were Amazon Basin, Congo Basin, Hickory Basin, and Rio de la Plata Basin. Well, the right answer for this one was option number B, Congo Basin. Congo Basin, like the Amazon Basin, is a tropical evergreen rainforest region, and it does contains world's largest peatland. Peatlands are actually carbon sinks, and if they are destroyed, then it will have negative climatic ramifications. Okay, so that's why you see, if we take a look at this, the right answer for this would be the Congo Basin. Peatlands are important carbon sinks storing large amounts of carbon. The destruction or degradation of peatlands releases the stored carbon into the atmosphere, contributing to greenhouse gas emissions and climate change. The Congo Basin, located in Central Africa, contains vast tropical peatlands, especially in countries like the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Republic of the Congo. The Congo Basin's peatlands are estimated to hold about 3 years worth of global carbon emissions from fossil fuels, highlighting their critical role in global climate regulation. So the right answer for this question was option number B, which is Congo Basin. Let's move forward. The next question said, consider the following statements. Statement 1, the atmosphere is heated more by incoming solar radiation than by terrestrial radiation. Statement 2, carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases in the atmosphere are good absorbers of long wave radiation. Which of the following is correct in respect of the above statements? Option A said both statement 1 and statement 2 are correct, and statement 2 explains statement 1. B said both statement 1 and statement 2 are correct, but statement 2 does not explain statement 1. C said statement 1 is correct, but statement 2 is incorrect. D said statement 1 is incorrect, but statement 2 is correct. Now, the atmosphere, especially the lower atmosphere, I mean the lowest section of the troposphere, it is mostly heated by the outgoing terrestrial radiation. It means the heat released from the Earth's surface rather than the incoming solar radiation. That makes statement number 1 as wrong. The atmosphere is heated more by incoming solar radiation than by terrestrial radiation. This is what statement 1 reads. And as I told you, that the lower section of the atmosphere is mostly heated by the outgoing terrestrial radiation. And if statement number 1 is wrong, then obviously the answer for this question turns out to be D option, which is statement 1 is incorrect, but statement 2 is correct, because it is one such kind of question. Carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases in the atmosphere are good absorbers of long wave the radiation. That's true. That's why they are known as greenhouse gases, because they are more or less transparent to the incoming solar radiation, but they trap the outgoing long wave terrestrial radiation. That's how they keep the lower section or the lowest section of the atmosphere primarily warm. In fact, the greenhouse gases make life on Earth possible. Their greater concentration in the lower atmosphere becomes a cause of concern, because that can trigger global warming, which can cause climate change, which can have different kind of ramifications. Okay, so for this question, the right answer was option number D, which is statement 1 is incorrect, but statement 2 is correct. Let's move to the next one. Consider the following statements. Statement 1, thickness of the troposphere at the equator is much greater as compared to poles. Statement 2, at the equator, heat is transported to great heights by strong convection currents. Which of the following is correct in respect to the above statements? Both statement 1 and 2 are correct, and statement 2 explains statement 1. Both statement 1 and 2 are correct, but statement 2 does not explain statement 1. C, statement 1 is correct, but statement 2 is incorrect. D, statement 1 is incorrect, but statement 2 is correct. Well, the height of the troposphere is not similar or identical over all the latitudes. At lower latitudes, the tropopause, which is the section which separates troposphere from the stratosphere, or the highest part of the troposphere, is located at a higher height, whereas at higher latitudes it is located at a lower height. The primary reason for this is that lower latitudes are warmer areas. Therefore, the air that comes in contact with lower latitude heats up more, and hotter the air, to greater height it would rise. So if you look at statement number 2, it says at equator heat is transported to great heights by strong convection currents. The vertical rise of hot air is actually known as convection currents or air currents. Okay, that's why you see that the thickness of the troposphere or the height of the troposphere at the equator is much greater as compared to the poles. The poles have colder surfaces, so the air that comes in contact with it cannot rise to a great height. That's why the height of the tropopause is less over the poles and more over the equator. So for this statement or for this question, option A turns out to be the right answer. It means both statements are correct, and statement 2 is a right justification of statement 1. Let's move to the next one. Consider the following: pyroclastic debris, ash and dust, nitrogen, sulfur compounds. How many of the above are products of volcanic eruption? Like during volcanism, apart from magma, some gases, compounds and pyroclastic material are released. Pyroclastic material could be in any form, like say for example ash, dust, etc. It can also be in the form of small bombs. Okay, so when we look at all the options, we find that all of them are released during a volcanic eruption. So the right answer for this one becomes option D, which is all 4. Pyroclastic debris refer to a type of material ejected during volcanic eruption. It consists of fragments ranging in size from fine ash to large blocks and bombs. Ash and dust, obviously, it is normal to imagine such kind of things to be emitted from a volcanic vent. Some gases like nitrogen, hydrogen, etc. are also released, and some compounds of sulfur, etc. are also released. So the right answer for this one was all. Let's move to the next one. Which of the following inferences are correct from isothermal maps in the month of January? First, the isotherm deviate to the north over the ocean and to the south over the continent. Second, the presence of cold ocean currents, Gulf Stream and North Atlantic Drift make the North Atlantic Ocean colder and the isotherm bend towards the north. Select the answer using the code given below. 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, neither 1 nor 2. Now, what is an isotherm? An isotherm is an imaginary line drawn over the surface connecting places having equal temperature. Now, if we take a look at the isotherms, then we may understand that how actually this thing takes place. Imagine that Suppose this is land and we have water around it, and then we have land located at a lower latitude and water around it. This is which season? It is the winter season, because the month that is highlighted here is January. Okay. Now, look here very carefully, that suppose in the winter season, the temperature of land at a lower latitude, suppose it is 15 degree centigrade, then at a higher latitude, it would be definitely less, 10 degree. And there is one concept in geography which says differential heating of land and water. The land heats up quickly and cools quickly. The water heats up slowly and cools slowly. This happens because water requires more heat energy to raise its temperature by 1 degree. In simple words, the continents become hotter during summers and colder during winters. So at the same latitude, the temperature of water during winter will be more than that of land. So if land is 15 degree, then this would be, say for example, this is 20 degree. This is also say 20 degree. Whereas at this latitude, if land is 10 degree, then it is 15 degree. And this is also 15 degree. Now, if I make a 15 degree isotherm, so it would look like this. So the first statement says the isotherm deviate to the north over the oceans and to the south over the continent. When we come towards the continent, it is moving to the south. But if we go towards the ocean, it is moving to the north. So the first statement is correct to that extent. The second statement is the catch here. When you look at the second statement, it says the presence of cold ocean currents, Gulf Stream and North Atlantic drift make the North Atlantic Ocean colder and the isotherms bend towards the north. Now, my dear friends, the Gulf Stream and the North Atlantic drift are actually not cold currents. They are warm currents. In fact, the warm Gulf Stream keeps the ports of Britain frost-free even during winters. Therefore, the temperature of the North Atlantic Ocean, especially Northeastern Atlantic Ocean, slightly rises because of these warm currents. There are some cold currents in this region, like the Labrador current or the Irminger current, but these currents, they are much smaller in size when we compare them with the mighty Gulf Stream. Anyhow, the second statement says that the Gulf Stream and North Atlantic drift make the North Atlantic Ocean colder. Now, this cannot happen. Warm water cannot, or warm ocean current cannot bring the temperature down. It will increase the temperature. Therefore, option 2 becomes incorrect in this case. Hence, if we take a look at the answer, it would be A. Statement 1 is correct and statement 2 is incorrect. Let's move to the next question. Which of the following countries are well known as the 2 largest cocoa producers in the world? Now, this was a straightforward question, and if you have read the basic NCERTs, you would have felt comfortable when you were attempting this question. It's straightforward, mentioned in the NCERTs. Okay, so option A says Algeria and Morocco, B Botswana and Namibia, C Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana, D Madagascar and Mozambique. All the countries mostly present in Africa. The right answer for this was Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana. Option number C. And Ghana are the 2 top cocoa producing countries globally. These countries have favorable climates and soil conditions for cocoa cultivation, and their economies heavily rely on cocoa production and export. Together, they account for a significant majority of world's cocoa supply. In fact, most of the cocoa which is produced in these countries is exported to North American and Western European markets to be utilized in various industries like the chocolate industry, say for example. Next question said, with reference to Himalayan rivers joining the Ganga downstream of Prayagraj from west to east, which one of the following sequence is correct? In simple words, these are all northern tributaries of the Ganga and we have to arrange them from west to east. the right option for this was option number B, Gomti, then Ghagra, then Gandak, and then Kosi. We can check it via a map. You'll see first one is Gomti, then you have got Ghagra, then you've got Gandak, then you have got Kosi. So the right option was option number B. Let's move to the next question. Consider the following statement. Statement 1, rainfall is one of the reasons for weathering of rocks. Statement 2, rainwater contains carbon dioxide in solution. Statement 3, rainwater contains atmospheric oxygen. Which one of the following is correct in respect of the above statements? A says both statement 2 and statement 3 are correct and both of them explain statement 1. B, both statement 2 and 3 are correct but only one of them explains statement 1. C, only one of statements 2 and 3 is correct and that explains statement 1. D says neither statement 2 and nor statement 3 is correct. Now let's take a look at the first statement. Rainfall is one of the reasons for weathering of rocks. Yes, it's true. Rainfall ensures that there is some chemical weathering in the rocks because rainwater can get dissolved with atmospheric carbon dioxide. It forms a solution in which rocks can be forced to undergo some sort of chemical change. Okay, so in that case, statement 2 becomes correct. Rainwater contains atmospheric oxygen. That's also a true statement, by the way, because rainwater is pure water. It does not contain salts or major amount of salts, and that's why it contains a lot of oxygen in it. So both the statement 2 and 3 along with statement 1 are correct. But statement 3 does not help us in understanding statement 1. Only statement 2 backs statement 1 because if you take a look at the rainwater, when it comes in contact with carbon dioxide, it forms carbonic acid. And this carbonic acid or H2CO3 in rainwater causes chemical weathering of minerals. So all the statements are correct, but the third one is not a justification for the first statement. So the right option for this question turns out to be option B. It means both statement 2 and 3 are correct, but only one of them explains statement 1, which is statement 2. This explains statement 1, but 3 does not. Rainwater does contain a lot of oxygen because it does not contain any dissolved salts like ordinary water, and hence it can contain more of oxygen. Let's consider the next one. Consider the following countries: Finland, Germany, Norway, Russia. How many of the above countries have a border with North Sea? Again, a question which is taken from the section of map marking. The options are only 1, only 2, only 3, all 4. Now, for this, we have to take a look at the map, and when we will take a look at the map, we will understand that it's only Germany and Norway which shares a border with the North Sea. Finland and Russia are not countries which share border with the North Sea. So the answer for this one would be option B, only 2. Here, if you see that it is Germany and Norway which shares border with the North Sea. Other countries being like United Kingdom, France, Netherlands, Denmark, etc. Whereas there is no mention of Finland or Russia. So the right answer for this one is only 2. It means option number B. Let's move to the next one. Consider the following information. Dhuandhar, it's a kind of waterfall, and it is the region that is given adjacent to it is Malwa, and the river is Narmada. Second, Hundru, the region given is Chota Nagpur, the river is Subarnarekha. Third is Garsoppa, region given in Western Ghats, and the river is Netravati. Now, in the question goes like this: in how many of the rows is the given information correctly matched? Now, when we look at Dhuandhar, yes, it is formed over the Narmada. It's a waterfall located in Jabalpur of Madhya Pradesh. But the Jabalpur region is not a part of Malwa. Jabalpur is part of Mahakaushal. That's why the first one is not, the first row is not correctly matched because of this information. This has to be Mahakaushal instead of Malwa. When you look at Hundru, yes, it is found on the river Subarnarekha, this waterfall, and it is located in Chota Nagpur, which is the Jharkhand region. This row is correctly matched. When you look at the third one, Garsopa, Western Ghats, here it is correct, but it is not on Netravati. It is on Sharavati, and therefore the right answer for this one turns out to be A, which means only one. Undru, location, Ranchi district, Chota Nagpur region, Jharkhand on Subarnarekha. Famous Jog Falls in Karnataka state. Jog Falls is also known as Gersoppa Fall. Jog Falls was formed by the Sharavati river. Nuadar Fall in Jabalpur, which lies in Mahakaushal region. It's not the Malwa region. Okay, some aspirants might have got confused by looking at Malwa. They've thought that it is also part of Madhya Pradesh, so maybe this is the right answer. But my dear friends, this was not a correct option. Okay, so for this, the right answer is A, one only, or only one statement. Okay, let's move to the next question. Here also, it says more or less the same thing. There is a region, name of mountain, and the type of mountain, and you have to find out that whether everything in a particular row is correctly matched. The first option was Central Asia, Vosges, Fold Mountain. Second, Europe, Alps, Block Mountain. Third, North America, Appalachians, Fold Mountain. Fourth, South America, Andes, Fold Mountain. Now, if you look at the first option, Central Asia, Vosges. Vosges is not found in Central Asia. Rather, it is found in France. Okay, and that's why this option immediately becomes a wrong choice. Europe, Alps, Block Mountain. Yes, Alps are found in Europe. In fact, Alps were formed more or less at the same time when the Himalayas were raised. That entire event is known as alpine orogeny. But it is not a block mountain, it's a fold mountain. As I said, that they were raised parallel, or you can say simultaneous, with the Himalayan orogeny, and Himalayas are young fold mountains. The Alps are also one of such kind. North America, so the second row is also not correct. North America, Appalachians, fold mountain. It's correct. Appalachian located on the eastern coast of North America. South America, Andes, fold mountain. Yes, Andes is also a fold mountain located mostly in the South America, and Andes continues to the north as Rockies and runs into Northern America. Some geographers believe that Rockies and Andes are actually one continuous chain of mountain, but others may have some kind of reservation to this. So for this, the right option was option B. Means row 1 is incorrect, 2 is incorrect, 3 is correct, 4 is correct. Therefore, the right choice becomes only 2. It means the right option is option B. Okay, let's move to the next question. With reference to water vapor, which of the following statements are correct? It is a gas, the amount of which decreases with altitude. It's true. The amount of water vapor present in the atmosphere decreases with height. Why? Because the atmosphere becomes more and more rarefied with increase in height. And the atmosphere is actually a mixture of gases and dust particles. And if you look at water vapor, it's a kind of gas. The number of molecules of water vapor reduce with increase in height. That's true. So the first statement is correct. It's a gas, the amount of which decreases with altitude. Its percentage is maximum at the poles. Now this statement is not correct. Why? Because if you look at water vapor, how it comes into atmosphere? It comes into atmosphere by way of evaporation. At the poles, the temperature is not enough to cause evaporation. In fact, hot and humid areas have more water vapor content in the air, or generally hot is associated with humid, cold is associated with dry. Therefore, the right answer for this question was A, one only. The first statement is a correct statement. With increase in height, there is decrease in water vapor. The second statement, which says its percentage is maximum at the poles, this is not correct. So the right answer for this question was option A, which means one only. Okay. So friends, this was the geography section. Let us now move to the next section, which is history and current affairs.